In this video, we're going to demonstrate how Soterre can capture changes to the applications in your Qlik SaaS environment and can help you recover from unwanted changes. And we're going to also demonstrate how it can then deploy a set of changes from a shared space to a production space. So here we have two different browser sessions. On the left, I'm logged in as Podrick. I've got a shared space dev4 here with the Candy Power Rankings app. On the right, I'm logged in as myself in a prod4 space, right, which has the production version of this same app. So let's go ahead and open this up in both of these guys, and then we'll make some changes and show how we can capture the changes, how we can revert from an unwanted change, and how we can promote the set of changes we want to keep from the dev space to the prod space. Okay, so here I am again, managed space on the right, the shared space on the left. And before we get started, let's go ahead and get logged into Soterre and see what we're working with. So I'm going to go ahead and log into that Qlik SaaS node, and we're going to go down to the change history for this particular app. So we'll start with the one in the shared space. So I'm going to go to dev4 here. I've got my Candy Power Rankings app here. Soterre is going to version the parts of the app independently, right? So you can, we have independent sort of change history for the sheets, for example, for the visualizations, for the different parts of the app. And you can deploy just individual incremental parts of the app from one location to another. But for now, let's just zero in on the app itself. So this is the app in the shared space. If I click the timeline, this is going to show me a sort of a view of all the different changes that have taken place over time underneath this app, right? So all the different pieces. So you can see where sheets have been modified, visualizations have been modified, bookmarks have been added and deleted, etc. All right, so this is what we're starting with. And I'm going to just come back to the property screen here. All right, so let's go to our app in the shared space. And let me make this a little bigger so our edits are a little easier. And first thing, let's go ahead and just make this a private sheet so we can edit it. Actually, before we even do that, let's go to this and let's change the thumbnail up here. And we'll choose a different image. So let's say we'll go with the Candy Variety Pack and say OK. Let's take this landing sheet, which is the one we were just looking at. We'll make it a private sheet. Go in here and edit it. And suppose that we want to maybe switch this to a. So this is a master visualization. Both of these are master item visualizations. So let's edit this guy. And let's switch his appearance to horizontal. So let's switch it like that. And we're good with that. Let's make just a silly little change to this. Maybe change the title from V2 to V3. And maybe while we're at it, we could add a few more columns on this one. So let's come here and add a few caramel. And is it chocolate? And is it crisp rice wafer? All right, so let's pull these up. Okay, good enough. And then suppose the author, for whatever reason, thought that this master visualization was no longer used, right? So suppose he accidentally, he deletes this because he thinks it's no longer used, but it is actually used, right? So obviously, it's going to be pretty obvious on this sheet, but it happens if you have an app with a large number of sheets and a large number of master items. It's a little easier to accidentally do. All right, so done editing the app. Let's go put it back to public. Make this guy public again. Okay, and then Soterre is going to automatically pick up the changes of this within a few minutes, but rather than wait on it, let's go ahead and just kick them off. Kick off the fine changes immediately so we can see what happens. Okay, and you can see here, Soterre noticed there were 3 changes and 1 deletes. If I click on the little link here, I'll have 2 tabs up here. I've got 3 changed, 1 deleted. The delete is the master visualization that we deleted, obviously. And the changed We've got our the Master Viz 2 where we changed the orientation, I think. We've got this one where we changed the thumbnail, right? And if you want to look at the differences, you can actually select the item and say compare to previous. Here you can see where we changed the thumbnail, right? And then the landing sheet where we changed, I think, the title, and then we added some new columns as well, right? So you can see these are the new columns. All right, so that captured our changes, and now suppose the author has come to the realization, oh, you know what? This sheet was, or this master visualization was actually used. I think it's actually used in 2 places, right? So now I've got 2 different errors in my app. So I'm gonna try to undo this, right? So I'm gonna come back to Soterre, and the easy way to do this is just to go to the timeline. You see what's been happening. You could also navigate direct to the master visualization that was deleted, but you can see here that Podrick deleted the Master Viz 1 at 4:20 p.m. today. So click here, say open, go to the change history for that item, and here you can see the change history for that visualization. Let's just go back to version 6, which is the version from before the deletion, and we'll restore that guy. So we can just say next and finish and let that run for a second. Let's maybe move this to the side, and what we should see is off to the right. We should see this get updated as Soterre is running and putting it back, right? So it's that easy to recover an accidentally deleted portion of your app, right? And also sort of to keep an eye on who's modifying the different parts, right, from the timeline. All right, so that's part 1 of the demo. We made some changes, and then we recovered an unintended change. We recovered from it. Now let's demonstrate what would happen. How would we promote this from that, from the dev 4 space, right? So from the shared space here, right? We want to promote from the dev 4 space into that managed space, right? So let's do that real quick. So there's a couple different ways you could do that. You can do it from the Explorer pane, right? So if you're in here, you can right click here and say deploy. You can also deploy right from here. So now let's pull this maybe off to this side so we can see this guy change. And we're going to deploy from the shared space into the managed space. So I'm going to hit deploy here. We've set up a path mapping prior to this that allows me to deploy from spaces starting with this prefix to this prefix. So it's promoting from dev to prod. You can pick your different targets. You can also promote to different tenants if you'd like to do that. But I'm just going to go from this dev to prod. On the preview here, you can click preview deployment, and you can see the map path will tell you where it's going to go. Right, so you can see these are going to go into the prod space. Looks good. I'm going to go ahead and kick it off, and then we'll just wait for it to finish here. So what it's going to do is first things first, it's going to version this guy just to make sure it has the latest changes, right? So let me make this a little bigger so we can see what happens here. And then after it's done versioning it to make sure we have the latest changes, it's going to it's going to do the deployment. Okay, so now we're just waiting for that to get through the first phase. Okay, and now we're to the deployment phase, and we'll start to see some changes show up in this guy. Okay, yep, there we go. So now we have our master visualization up here, switched to horizontal. We added some new columns here. I think we changed the title on that, and that's how we did it. I think we also changed the thumbnail, right? So you should see the thumbnail change here. All right, so that's how it works.